I'd like to point out a key issue I've seen risen throughout this debate. That seems to be our opponent's philosophy on human rights. Philosophy being, who needs human rights when Israel's happy, right? And, I mean, essentially what they're doing is they're trying to find a way to, we're both trying to find a way to make Palestine culpable for the rocket attacks, to make them culpable for what they're doing, and find a way to punish them if it continues so we can stop it. So our opponents are saying, oh, well, we can just keep the blockades. They work fine, you know, deprive every single Palestinian citizen, except for the leaders who are responsible for the attacks, who can keep what they want of provisions, which is obviously unjust. Or we can restore we could give Palestine statehood, and then we could make sure they get these provisions, and we could keep them in check because they won't be firing rockets when they're looking at the U.S. And when there's that kind of intimidating force overwatching them. The second aspect of this was, they brought up the whole case about our plan on sanctioning. And they're saying, oh, we can sanction a nation that's not a nation. We can put a sanction on territory that only lives off of foreign aid. And except the problem is, if they're only dependent on foreign aid, a sanction's not going to do anything. However, under our plan, if we're taking foreign aid away, if they decide to take up arms against Israel instead of trying to flourish as a country and flourish as a society, well then they're not going to take that risk because they're dependent on our foreign aid. And I mean, with that, I'd really like to bring up the main question that's been circulating in this debate. That question is, how do we solve the problem? Now, our opponent's answer was essentially, oh, okay, so pretend we're the Palestinians. You're going around saying, oh my God, there's all this killing, there's all these suicide bombings, there's all these child shields. Sorry, I forgot our opponent's only hearing about child shields. But, I mean, besides that, and then you have the Western powers saying, wait, no. Let's wait it out. Let's not go and be proactive and fix the problem. Let's give it another 60 decades. It might work, it might not. The suicide bombings may continue. They might not. Blood might still fill the streets. It might not. And honestly, that's not a risk we want to take in our world today, and that's not a risk we want to be taking with a whole country, and in fact a community of countries, the whole Middle East, essentially. However, our answer to the question, let's solve it in court. Let's solve it diplomatically. Let's solve it the right way. Let's solve it so that no more blood needs to be shed. I mean, let's put an end to these human rights violations. Let's lift the blockades and make it an independent country so that the citizens who do not deserve to be starved and malnourished and flooded with disease can survive, so that those citizens have the right to the land that was originally theirs, that was taken partly by Israel in the original agreement. I mean, let's continue the precedent that the UN set in Yugoslavia when they ended the civil war among several factions and secured peace, showing they were successful, showing that they can be successful again, showing that they will be successful in this case. So, I mean, I have to ask, do you want human rights, or do you want Israel to be happy? Do you want human rights, or do you want one country to continue to have all the land that's not even rightfully its own land? Do you want citizens of Palestine, do you want the whole community in that area, the whole Middle Eastern community, to be a safer, more peaceful place, seeing as Saudi Arabia and other Arabic nations have promised to be peaceful if these provisions are met, if the 1967 borders are established and Palestine does become a country. Because if you want that kind of peace, if you want that kind of tranquility, that kind of end to human rights abuses, then the correct way to go would be affirmative. But if you want to continue the human rights abuses, see if it might fix itself, which it clearly has shown a history of not doing after 60 years. If you want to see if the rocket attacks on Israel and the blockades on Palestine as a return attack that starve and emancipate and emancipate the citizens, I mean, you can see if that works out, but otherwise, vote affirmative. Thank you.